What's up everybody, Commander Sanctum here, and today we have a brand new deck tech using Obeka, Splitter of Seconds. Obeka is a 2/5 Ogre Warlock for 1 in a Grixis that has Menace, and whenever Obeka deals combat damage to a player, you get that many additional upkeep steps after this phase. As soon as this creature was spoiled, I knew this was going to be my favorite commander of the set. That combat damage ability is so unique and interesting that there's nothing else really quite like it, outside of maybe the 9th Doctor from the Doctor Who set. There are a ton of cards that do something on upkeep, so for this deck tech we're going to focus on combining those with cards that give Obeka buffs and more evasion outside of Menace to really capitalize on the ability and go for as many upkeep phases as we can get. With that, let's get to the card highlights. First, we'll look at some upkeep triggers that we can use to our advantage when repeating them multiple times a turn. There's a set of what I call Monarch Courts, that is, Court of enchantments that give you the Monarch when they enter the battlefield. Court of Ambition, Court of Embereth, and Court of Ire are 3 such examples that all share something in common. They can make your opponents lose life on upkeep. Embereth and Ambition are situational life loss, but as long as you have the Monarch, the likelihood of dealing a ton of damage is high. These are cards that can outright kill all of your opponents in a single turn, in situations where you get a ton of upkeeps from Obeka's ability, making them absolute bombs when paired with her. Court of Cunning and Court of Vantress are additional Monarch Courts that can be great to use with multiple upkeeps. Cunning is a different strategy than the other ones, since it mills your opponents, but its Monarch ability of 10 cards per upkeep can be devastating and can win the game on its own if given enough upkeep triggers. Vantress is particularly great as it can copy your other courts, either racking up the damage more with the first 3 or putting more pressure on your opponent's libraries if Cunning is copied. Beyond the Monarch Courts, we have a set of pretty great upkeep enchantments from the Kamigawa block in the Honden cycle. Honden of Infinite Rage and Honden of Seeing Winds are particularly great as they can cause a lot of damage or cause you to draw a ton of cards, respectively, with multiple upkeep triggers. Honden of Night's Reach is a great way to reduce card advantage for your opponents, and combining all 3 together with multiple upkeeps will be an absolute powerhouse on the battlefield. Alongside enchantments, there are a few creatures that work well with Obeka. Dragonmaster Outcast and Skyline Despot are great to give you tons of 5/5 dragons, allowing you to likely alpha strike your opponents if it gets back to your turn after a major Obeka trigger. Skyline Despot also supports the Monarch sub-theme of the first enchantments, meaning you'll very likely be able to keep the Monarch rather consistently through a game. Portal to Phyrexia is an absolute bomb, acting like a pseudo Rise of the Dark Realms if given enough upkeep triggers with Obeka. Additional creatures that work well with Obeka are Bob-like effects, that is, revealing and drawing a card from your library at upkeep and causing life loss to someone based on its cost. Twilight Prophet is especially great since the life loss goes for each of your opponents, while also gaining you life. Duskmantle Seer, aka Party Bob, is a more risky play, as each player does the reveal, including you, and loses life equal to its cost. Honestly, with multiple upkeep triggers a turn, Duskmantle Seer may be more of a detriment to the deck and actually cause you to lose, but it's one of my favorite cards and just way too fun to not include in such a list. Additional upkeep damage effects include Palace Siege, which allows you to drain 2 life from each opponent on upkeep. You could technically also return a creature card from the graveyard to your hand, but in most situations you're likely going to want to choose the Dragon's effect. Descent into Avernus is an amazing card in this deck that can get you a ton of treasures, but, like Duskmantle Seer, may also just straight up kill you if you aren't careful. But hey, risky situations like that are what make Magic fun. And speaking of fun, we also have Blood Tyrant, which will make each player lose life on upkeep, but in turn will make a massive flying and trampling creature. Couple this with multiple upkeep phases each turn, and you'll have an absolute monster of a creature in no time. Beyond the upkeep trigger effects, we have quite a few cards that can buff Obeka to deal more damage when attacking. In fact, there's a cycle of ring equipment cards that do both. The Rings of Evos Isle, Vulcus, and Zathrid all give Obeka a +1/+1 counter on upkeep, allowing you to exponentially increase Obeka's power and, as such, gain more upkeep phases on the next attack. They also give great abilities to Obeka, either allowing you to protect her with hexproof or regenerate, or give her haste so you can attack immediately after you play her. Hatred is probably one of, if not the, best card in the deck. Since this is instant, it can be cast after no blockers being declared from your opponent, allowing you to get pretty much as many upkeep phases as you have life to pay for. Not to mention, simply pay 19 life and you can kill an opponent with commander damage, while also getting 21 upkeep phases afterwards. Truly, this card is an absolute powerhouse in such a deck and will win games on the spot. Blackblade Reforged is another great card that can make Obeka huge, especially the longer the game goes on. Later in the game, allowing Obeka to hit someone with a Blackblade equipped will easily net you 10 plus upkeep phases while doing massive commander damage to an opponent. Since we want Obeka to deal combat damage to opponents to get additional upkeeps, we need to give her a few more evasion effects to make sure we get through. Sword Coast Sailor, Bilbo's Ring, and Aether Tunnel are all great cards that can make Obeka unblockable, with Bilbo's Ring giving you additional bonuses such as hexproof and extra card draw. Aqueous Form and Cloak of Mists are additional great cards that can make Obeka unblockable to get some damage through. Since they are auras, they will persist on Obeka until either she or the enchantment are destroyed, meaning you'll have unfettered access to deal damage to an opponent every turn. Finally, there are a number of cards that simply work well with Obeka as additional utility. Strionic Resonator can be amazing, as it allows you to copy Obeka's upkeep trigger, giving you double the number of upkeep phases than you normally would. Aggravated Assault is a quintessential card to allow you to attack again with Obeka, again getting you more upkeep phases to trigger all the different upkeep effects you'll have. Finally, Darksteel Reactor is a straight up win con in this deck, as the more upkeeps you get, the quicker you'll be able to get to the 20 counters on it to win the game. Pair Darksteel Reactor with a Hatred, and you could have an on-the-spot game win, assuming you have enough life to pay to get to the 20 counters. Here is an example deck list utilizing all the previously mentioned cards. Here we have a few more cards to protect Obeka, since she will likely draw quite a bit of hate in a game. Additional combat steps in Karlach to get us as many upkeep triggers as possible, and some additional damage and card draw upkeep triggers to make sure we keep the pressure on our opponents. I absolutely love Obeka. Her ability is so unique and interesting and can make for some pretty great moments. I don't know about you, but the thought of getting more than 10 upkeeps in a single turn makes me excited, and makes me want to see just how many upkeeps I can get to. But beyond the fun aspect of the deck, it does have quite a few powerful combos and cards in it. As I mentioned before, Hatred is probably the most powerful card in the deck, and can outright kill everyone when played, especially when combined with the Darksteel Reactor or Life Drain enchantment. Even beyond Hatred, however, with the right combination of upkeep trigger effects, and likely having the Monarch, you can easily be dealing upwards of 30 plus damage to opponents, even before buffing Obeka. Seriously, even having 2 additional upkeeps, which will be the bare minimum Obeka will give you if she hits, can be absolutely devastating to opponents, depending on what you have on the battlefield. All in all, Obeka is one of those rare commanders which can be outright fun and zany, while also being incredibly powerful at the same time. If that sounds like something you'd enjoy, I'd highly recommend checking out the deck. I hope you enjoyed watching this deck tech on Obeka Splitter of Seconds. The full deck list outlined in this video can be found at the Architect link at the top of the description. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to drop a like and comment, as well as subscribe to the channel for more Magic content. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.